Hello and welcome back to the channel. So I'm old schooling it today with no mic or anything, so I hope you can hear me properly. But I've been promising to do a video on the RCZ, which is now my daily driver, so I thought I'd take this opportunity to do that. So say 2011 RCZ GT. It's the 2-litre HDI in this one. They did do a variety of engines, so you could have a 2-litre petrol, 1.6 petrols of different tunes, anywhere from 156 horsepower up to the big R, which had I believe 280, 290, somewhere around there, and this 2-litre HDI, which is 163, which is the one I went for, purely because it's proven technology. HDI engines have been in everything for quite a number of years now. The 1.6 is also, whilst I wouldn't say are a bad engine, the 1.6 petrols are not that great in terms of reliability. Shared with others like the minis and things like that. They suffer from timing chains slipping, burning oil, a whole host of sort of Christmas tree lights and coil pack issues and things like that, which is not just a Peugeot thing, that's also across other brands as well. They seem to have sort of forgotten how to make engines with timing chains for some particular reason. So this is a cam belt. Intervals on it are 10 years or 150,000, I believe, miles. I had this one done when I bought it because it was just coming up to time, not mileage. So yeah, this is the RCZ, is basically a concept they brought out a number of years ago, quite unashamedly sort of based on the TT. So if you sort of see lots of sort of TT-esque looking parts of it, things that are unusual, and why I prefer it over a TT actually is the design is much better on this. So you can see what I call the arse cheeks of the roof, which is a design cue on this. And also I just think it looks, the TT of this age didn't look particularly great. They sort of, from the Mark 1 TT, they sort of made it a bit boring in my opinion. So this was, you know, a much better looking car. Obviously being a Peugeot, or sort of any French car really, I believe knew it was the same price, if not more expensive than a TT. It didn't sell in great numbers. So it wasn't a great success. It ran from about 2010 up to about 2017 with minor facelifts. So this one's in the grey. It's got the optional 19-inch dual colour wheels on it. To be honest, I would have preferred it with the 18s after the cost of trying to get tyres for this thing. But it does add to the look. As I said, it's the GT spec. So that's an option it's got. It's also, if I pan around to the back here, got the quad exhaust system, which is, I think, quite unusual on a diesel. But this was, I believe, a Peugeot dealer fit option. So it's been done properly, and you could have had the quad pipes. So externally wise, you know, this, I bought it on about 97,000 miles, 98,000. It's in very good condition. Underneath, chassis wise, it's based on a Peugeot 308 with stiffened up shockers and things like that. So it is, it does ride very stiff compared to the Jaguar I had before. It handles very well as well. Front wheel drive, they never did a 4-wheel drive option, but they did sort of the R version with crazy horsepower. So yeah, that's the outside of it. I think it's quite a pretty looking car, and definitely, in my opinion, more sort of interesting to look at and possibly a future classic rather than the sort of second gen TT, which I don't think was that particularly good looking really compared to the first gen. So we'll scoot inside and have a look in there. So here we are looking into the car. It's got, it is a 2+2, not that you can really tell. The rear seats are quite token in it. It's got full electric memory driver and passenger seats, on this one being the GT, and also this very nice napper, I believe it is leather, in the cream, where if I can pan in and the sunlight will capture it, sort of stolen from Alpha, I think, where the logo, Peugeot logo lines embossed in the seats. So I'll just jump in without making you too sick. excuse my knees. So here we are inside the car. It's standard Peugeot fare. Let me move the tissue that was keeping the gear knob sort of slightly cool, so I didn't end up with a hex burnt in my hand. But yeah, the interior is sort of kind of standard Peugeot equipment with different design really. So you've got the flat bottom steering wheel with the RCZ logo on it. Different gauges, you wouldn't obviously see those in a standard Peugeot, but things, if I pan around the side, the indicator stalks, the stalks for the radio, and on this side, stalks for the cruise control are all very sort of standard Peugeot fare, which nothing wrong with that. It works. So, you know, if it works, why fit it, you know? If it ain't broke, don't fix it sort of thing. This one's a manual, 6-speed manual. You could get the automatics, although they were quite problematic, I was led to believe. So 6-speed manual box, old school manual handbrake. This one's got the uprated audio JBL system, which was about a £1,500 option, I believe. So we'll have a look at that in a second in more detail. But standard fare, you've got dual zone climate control, so you can set each side. Moving back here, sort of some of the standard, move my glasses out of the way, Peugeot sort of firing buttons at things and not in where you'd expect them. So you've got a 12-volt socket in there to plug things in. Then the button behind it here, if I pan down, it's actually like the TT's got a active spoiler that does come up slightly at about 50 odd miles an hour, but only fully at about 94. So if you want a signal to the police that you're speeding, let that come up naturally, but you can put it up manually using this button. And this is what's confusing that you wouldn't naturally expect to see there. So these are the buttons for things like your miles per gallon, the trip computer, which you normally would expect them up here on the side, but being Peugeot, because French, they decided to put them down here, so that takes you into all the menus as well. So you've got armrest here that moves forward and backwards, but also flips up. And you've got a USB port in there that links through to the stereo, which is quite good. It was one of the things I was looking for because all my music's now on USB. So yeah, bringing you back up to the cabin, you've got automatic dimming rear view mirrors. And as I said, you've got cruise control and the radio stalks down there. You have, excuse legs and knees alert, I'll bring you down and round. And you've got a bit of sporty chrome pedalness going on there. And sort of door card wise, frameless doors, with your leather on the handle there as well. Front electric windows, obviously there's no rears. Yeah, so it's all very nice. It's very comfortable, even though it's a hard riding car. I've driven this a few hundred miles and got out of it at the end of each drive and not felt niggled or anything like that from it. So it's a very comfortable car to drive. You do feel the bumps and bangs in it. I was coming from a Jaguar, so you would. But yeah, it's, as you can see, if I can tilt you around, the rear seats are very much token. And I'll bring you back round here. So what I'll do next is just show you the infotainment system. I'll pop it up, but I'll turn the music off so we don't get any any YouTube copyright. So join me again in a second. Right, folks, so I'll show you this popping up. Excuse the shake from my hands. But there we go, that's the optional infotainment system. Turn that off quickly so we don't get any copyright infringement notices. And then as soon as you turn the ignition off, it does go back down again. You've got buttons here for, this one's got the nav that's built into it. I did upgrade via the DVD disc when I got it, but as far as you can go in terms of maps is 2016. But you've got normal analog radio, no DAB sadly. You can put different medias in, so that controls your whether it's USB. It's also got an inbuilt hard drive as well, so you can store music on there if you want to. It's got Bluetooth connection for your phone, but also you can put a SIM card in it, which is hence what all these keypads are for here. Sorry, turn that back off again before we get any more things. But each one of those pops up the screen and it goes down automatically as well. So that's that's really the infotainment side. It's a very good audio. It's a JBL system on this particular GT model that came with this upgrade system there. Does have a few software bugs. It somehow now sort of crashed and has decided it will always show the nav even when you go onto the music, but I'm sure that's fixable with a quick pull off of the battery terminal. But yeah, that's the inside of it. So what we'll do is do a quick look under the bonnet and in the boot as well, because it's quite spacious for such a sports car, if you like. So join me again in a second. Okay, so here we are under the bonnet. Typical modern car flair, lots of plastics that you can see. So as you can see, this is a HDI 16. 2 litre, as I mentioned earlier in this, turbo, puts out 163 horsepower, so a fair amount of torque and shove comes from it. So, you know, personally, having come in from the Jaguar that had over 200 horsepower, I don't feel this is any slower. And the miles per gallon I'm getting anywhere between 58 and 62 at the moment, miles per gallon, so it's very good. This has got a DPF filter, diesel particulate filter, but I believe this is the better system. It's what the French call the e-oil system in Peugeot language, or in Renault, the FAP system, which I believe is it basically baths the DPF in a fluid. So definitely seems more reliable as DPFs can be. So yeah, the only issues is with getting things. When I bought the car, the air conditioning didn't work properly. I thought it needed a regas, as everybody hopes, but unfortunately I had somebody come out and diagnose it, and the aircon condenser had actually gone in it, which is buried. You probably can't even see it here in this nose section. So the poor guy that came out and did it, mobile guy, basically had to strip off the whole of the front bumper. The headlights had to come out in order for him to get to it and be able to change it. But luckily, to his credit, he said they do that quite a lot these days. So he managed to do it in just over an hour, actually, and it was a very reasonable price, sort of £340 all in, including the regas, which I was very pleased with. As you can see, the bonnet's quite unusual, so it's sort of a bit like some of the Minis, where it's a sort of clamshell type design to it. So it doesn't really have any front wings as such. The structural rigidity is behind that to it. So yeah, it's now sort of settling down. Having paid good money for it, I have to spend about another £600 fixing various issues that were arising with it, but hopefully it's now settling down. So yeah, that's sort of under the bonnet. If we come around here, you can see a couple of other design cues. So you've got the Peugeot door kick plates there. It would have had RCZ mats from factory, but they were missing, so I've got some sort of eBay versions of them. And the doors open as well. Excuse my fingers there. So what we'll do now is just show you in the boot, which is quite big really for it. So let me just dig the keys out and I'll show you that. So we're back again now. I mean, one of the only annoying things about this car is there's no internal boot release. There's no external boot release that I've found. So the only way to open the boot is via the flip key on the key fob, which is a bit annoying if you've got things you want to put in the boot. You're trying to fiddle around for your keys, but you can't have everything, I suppose. So lifting it up, it's sort of a boot type trunk design. This one's got the optional RCZ hardcover as well, which I believe was something like £150 option, but came with the car. So excuse my box of rubbish, but if it can take you down, you can actually see it's quite a decent sized boot. And actually, unusually for one of these cars, I'm not going to do it, but this rear bench folds flat, so you get even more storage. Under the hardcover, I'm not going to pick it up, but there isn't much, as with most modern cars. You get no spare tyre, so that wasn't even an option, I believe. You get just the usual compressor and some gunk to stick in it, so not ideal, but you know what you're going to do. Most cars are like that now for emissions, so they can meet them and you're not having to lug around a spare tyre. This one, luckily, does have an actual 19 spare rim that has a crack in it, I believe. One of the previous owners hit a pothole and it got a crack. Can be fixed, and then I can have that as a spare wheel, which I'll probably do. But yeah, I just wanted to sort of show you around what replaced the Jaguar, really. So very different in many ways. I'm loving the fuel economy, obviously. Loving the fact it's only £165 a year to tax compared to the Jaguar's £600 a year. But I do miss the Jag's floaty ride. So yeah, this is my new daily, and as things come up we'll obviously do videos on it, but I've had to do a few bits like the aircon on it so far. Rear calipers were seized, so I've had to do those. The washer pump decided to go very French and stop working, so I had to replace that. But now I'm hoping it's going to settle down and be very nice looking, but very boring, hopefully. So thank you for watching. Apologies for the jiggling camera and everything. I just sort of did this a bit off the cuff, but yeah, do like and subscribe if you like what we're doing, and we'll have more interesting videos coming soon.